World News Overview. World News Overview, the first story. We're going to go over to Credit Suisse. What's going on over there?
Nothing good.
Oh, no.
Swiss bank accused of impeding hunt for accounts linked to Nazis. The troubled banking giant Credit Suisse is facing new accusations that it has not been fully forthcoming about the scope of its historical assistance to Nazis, a quarter century after it agreed to take part in a $1.25 billion settlement of lawsuits by Holocaust survivors.
자, 최근 경영위기를 겪은 크레딧 스위스 얘기입니다. 나치에 의한 유대인 대학살 생존자들과의 소송에서 우리 돈으로 1조 6천억 원에 해당하는 합의금을 지급하기로 한 지 25년이 지났다라고 해요. 일단 거기까지 살펴보겠습니다. 유대인 대학살 생존자, Holocaust survivors.
People who survived the Holocaust.
그렇죠.
As you can, kind of self-explanatory, but if we're talking about the Holocaust, obviously we're talking about the genocide of European Jews during World War II by the Nazis.
That's right. Hitler. 그러니까 유대인 대학살을 영어로 Holocaust라고 얘기를 해요. 그래서 Holocaust survivor가 유대인 대학살의 생존자가 되겠고요. 자, 그래서 이런 1조 6천억 원에 해당되는 합의금을 지급하기로 한 지 25년이 지난 지금까지 나치 세력을 지원한 범위가 어디까지냐? 나치 세력과 관련된 계좌 조사에 적극적으로 나서지 않고 있더라라는 얘기들이 나오고 있습니다. It looks like they had agreed to take part in this big settlement.
Oh, no, they did.
Oh, they did.
Yes,
so
a quarter of a century ago.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Yeah, so they took part in it. They were involved. They obviously paid some of the money.
But it looks like they're not really forthcoming. It says here about the scope of how much
is it? Yeah, exactly. Exactly what they did. So they took part in the settlement, but was that maybe just to, okay, we did this, don't ask about everything else. That's how I'm understanding. I haven't read the full story. This little bit is a little bit fully hard to understand because this is obviously a very complex story.
Yes, indeed.
But, we've seen other countries that do that. We did this or, we paid you this money, so don't ask any more questions about what we did.
이 settlement가 합의금이라는 뜻이 있어요. 그래서 settlement, take part in, 이 합의에 참여하다라고 직역을 할 수 있겠지만 이 합의금을 지급하기로 했다라는 얘기죠. 이제 그렇게 지급하기로 했고 지급한 것으로 일단은 이제 추정이 됩니다. 이 단락만 봤을 때는. 근데 그것을 떠나서 그런데 그것을 둘러싼 여러 가지 얘기들. How it helped the Nazis. 얼마나 나치에게 이제 지원을 그동안에 했는지에 대한 부분은 적극적으로 이제 설명을 하지 않고 그 부분에선 별로 나서지 않는 것이 지금 상당히 좀 미심쩍은 부분이 많다라는 것 같아요. So when you take part in something, and this is our morning DIY today, of course, it means you are involved.
Yeah,
in
right.
Something, yeah.
You're involved. You're active in that activity or that situation.
네. 자, 그럼 우리 중간 점검으로 take part in을 쓴 여러분의 문장 한번 보겠습니다. 장윤서님. Great to hear that I could take part in morning special live broadcasting.
Good. Or I might say take part in morning specials live broadcast. Yeah,
네.
it's really good. I'm glad we're glad that you are taking part.
Yes, we are indeed. Morning specials live broadcast 이렇게도 바꿀 수 있고요. 네, 저희도 기쁩니다. 같이 해주셔서. 최은경님은요. I'm a shy person and I have a little bit of difficulty taking part in group discussions.
That's very understandable, but perfect sentence.
맞아요.
So you definitely don't have a problem writing perfect English sentences, so that's great.
네. 일단 그 영어 문장만으로 봤을 때는 완벽하고요. 그 다음에 이제 내용 너무 수줍어서 나는 이제 그룹 토론 이런 걸 좀 어렵다라고 하셨는데 그런 분들 많죠. A lot of people are like this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are you, do you like group discussions or?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I think me too.
I'm talkative and opinionated, so Yeah.
Perfect then.
Yeah, well, it can also cause problems when you're too talkative and too opinionated, because if people don't agree with you.
아, 그렇군요. 레이 선생님은 talkative, 말이 많고, opinionated, 나의 주장이 또 아주 강한 사람이라서 group discussion을 나는 좋아하는데, 나랑 같이 그룹을 하는 사람들은 어떤지 모르겠다라는 지금 솔직한 의견을 주셨어요. 네. 아우, 너무 좋습니다. 이렇게 쓰시면 돼요. take part in, 뭐뭐뭐. 문장 많이 보내주세요.
Two great sentences. Wow.
Definitely.
That's why I love morning DIY.
Yeah. This is your favorite
It
segment
is.
these days, isn't it?
Yeah, because just giving some word and like that's honestly how I teach is you teach a word and then make a sentence, make a sentence, make a sentence.
네.
It's the best way. It's the best way to
It is.
to learn because you can learn words, you can learn vocabulary, and how many people in Korea for so many years were just taught to memorize words. But you
Make your own sentences.
Make your own sentences.
맞아.
And then if it's wrong, it's okay because someone's going to teach you, okay, just change it like this, change it like this.
그래요. 요즘 몇 번이나 이 사석에서도 레이 선생님이 저한테 그랬어요. 요즘 모닝 DIY가 너무 좋아. 이게 진짜 좋아. 이런 얘기를 여러 번 하셨거든요. 이게 진짜 여러분도 같이 이렇게 좋아해 주시고 계시죠? 많이 보내주세요. Take part in something 이라는 문장 오늘 해보면 되겠습니다. 자, 다시 돌아가 볼게요. Credit Suisse 얘기 다음 부분입니다. This is the next part.
The Senate Budget Committee on Tuesday released two reports it had obtained from an inquiry that Credit Suisse commissioned into banking activities by German Nazis who went to Argentina in the 1930s. One was written by Neil M. Barofsky, a lawyer the bank hired to oversee the investigation, but dismissed in November after its scope expanded to Nazis who fled Europe at the end of World War II.
네, 미국 상원예산위원회는 이와 관련된 두 건의 보고서를 최근에 공개했는데 해당 보고서는 크레딧 스위스가 30년대 아르헨티나로 건너간 독일 나치 관련자들의 은행 계좌를 관리한 것으로 보인다고 밝혔습니다.
You ever heard about that? There are still communities in Argentina where everyone speaks German. And they're
I
all
didn't
descendants
know
of
that.
Nazis.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Still today.
그래요.
I've heard it's wild. I've heard it's just crazy going there. I've seen people on like Rogan's podcast talking about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, what does it mean when it says here, Credit Suisse commissioned an inquiry into banking activities?
Right. So inquiry means an investigation.
Yeah.
So they commissioned this. It means they arranged it and they paid for it. And as you can see, it says here, a lawyer who the bank hired to do it. So the bank hired him to do it. So it's outside sources.
Ah, okay.
So you can commission people to do work for you. Like sometimes you'll hear about people will commission artists to do portraits of them. They pay them to do it.
아하, commission은 여기서 의뢰가 되겠네요. Credit Suisse commissioned, or was commissioned?
No, they commissioned others to do it. It was their idea. They wanted an investigation done. So they paid other people, outside sources, they would have given them information and access to records for them to really look into it.
아하, okay. So Credit Suisse가 의뢰를 했습니다. An inquiry into banking activities. Banking activities는 계좌가 지금 어떻게 되어 가고 있는지 그런 것들을 누구의 계좌냐면요. German Nazis in Argentina. 아르헨티나로 건너간 독일 나치들의 이 계좌를 관리할 것을 이제 의뢰를 했다라는 얘기가 있습니다. 자, 이 중 한 보고서는요. 외부 분석 업체에 조사를 요청해서 어떤 변호사가 작성했다라는 걸 밝혔고요. 수사 범위가 나치 세력으로 확대됐다라는 것도 밝혔다고 합니다. 그래서 11월에 해고되는 그런 사건이 있었다고 하는데요. So who was fired or dismissed in this case?
The lawyer.
The lawyer
right.
was fired?
And I don't understand this part because it says he was dismissed in November after its scope expanded to Nazis who fled Europe. So
The
its
inquiry?
Scope, is it the inquiry scope or was it, did he expand the scope? So it's a little bit confusing without the rest of the article.
아,
I'm
그렇군요.
assuming it means the inquiry, but then why was he fired? I don't know.
알겠습니다. 그러니까 이거네요. 크레딧 스위스가 이제 그 아르헨티나로 30년대에 건너간 독일 나치들의 계좌를 관리하도록 했고 그런 의뢰를 했고 근데 거기서 한 변호사는 이 그냥 일반 나치들이 아니라 일반 그냥 뭐 독일어를 하는 사람들만이 아니라 이렇게 나치들을 조사한 것에 대해서 결국은 해고당하는 일이 있었다. 그런데 이게 구체적으로 왜 그랬는지, 뭐 때문에 그랬는지, 돈이 얼마나 오고 갔는지 그런 것들에 대한 설명이 없다라는 거죠. 그래서 지금 Credit Suisse seems to be a little fishy. I don't know. You know, people aren't quite sure what's going on, I guess. Even we're not sure exactly what's going on just by reading this part.
No,
really.
but I guess that's always, Swiss bank that's what Swiss banking has always been about, being quiet and keeping their mouth shut. And that's how the industry's been so successful for years.
그렇군요.
And,
그래요. 그럼 표현 위주로 우리 이제 take part in 그리고 Holocaust survivor, commission 의뢰하다까지도 배웠는데요. 다시 처음부터 들어보겠습니다.
Swiss bank accused of impeding hunt for accounts linked to Nazis. The troubled banking giant Credit Suisse is facing new accusations that it has not been fully forthcoming about the scope of its historical assistance to Nazis, a quarter century after it agreed to take part in a $1.25 billion settlement of lawsuits by Holocaust survivors. The Senate Budget Committee on Tuesday released 2 reports it had obtained from an inquiry that Credit Suisse commissioned into banking activities by German Nazis who went to Argentina in the 1930s. One was written by Neil M. Barofsky, a lawyer the bank hired to oversee the investigation, but dismissed in November after its scope expanded to Nazis who fled Europe at the end of World War II.
All right, well, that was our first world news overview, and now we're moving on to the second one. We're going to the Himalayas this time around. There's been an accident, and someone's missing as well. Let's take a look.
One climber dies and another is missing on Himalayan mountain. A northern Irish alpinist was found dead, and a climber from India went missing on a mountain in central Nepal Tuesday. Noel Hanna, who had scaled Mount Everest 10 times, was found dead inside his tent Monday after scaling the 45-foot tall Mount Annapurna, officials said.
26,545피트는 우리가 쓰는 미터로 환산하면 8,000미터 정도가 되는데요. 자, 지난 화요일 네팔의 중부에 있는 그 산에서 북아일랜드 출신의 산악인이 숨진 채로 발견됐습니다. 산악인을 영어로는 alpinist라고 하는군요.
An alpinist, a mountaineer, someone who climbs mountains, and they specialize in these very high and difficult ascents.
Exactly. mountaineer라는 단어도 있는데 alpine이라고 하면은 특히 이제 굉장히 높은 산을 얘기하는 거죠. So, alpinist가 여기서 산악인이 되겠습니다.
I think it originally comes from people who climbed in the Alps, and then now it's just now it just
More
means
general,
anyone who climbs big mountains. They can call themselves an alpinist.
그래요. alpinist, 산악인. 북아일랜드 출신의 이 알피니스트가 숨진 채로 발견이 됐는데 인도인 등반가도 이제 실종이 됐습니다. 그래서 일단은 사망한 산악인에 대한 설명부터 나와요. 이름은 노엘 하나 씨입니다. 에베레스트 산을요. 10번이나 등반을 했던 인물이래요. He had scaled Mount Everest 10 times.
He's obviously a very experienced climber.
he's a
So if you
veteran.
scale something, it just means to climb it. So he's climbed Mount Everest. He's made it to the top, the peak, the summit 10 times.
He's no novice. He's
No,
done this
exactly.
before.
I think that's why this is so shocking, because
그래요.
Mount Annapurna is the 10th highest. Everest is the highest.
Yeah.
He's done that 10 times. He just did Annapurna, went down to the camp, and then was found dead there.
아, 그래요. 상당히 숙련된 그런 산악인이라는 걸 알 수 있습니다. 근데 마운트 에버레스트를 10번이나 등반했다라고 하는 그 동사가요. go up 대신에 여기서는 scale이라고 했습니다. 오르다라는 뜻이 있어요. S-C-A-L-E. 그런데 8,000m 높이의 안나푸르나, 에버레스트보다 낮거든요. 이 8,000m 높이의 안나푸르나에 등반한 후 지난 월요일 텐트 안에서 숨진 채 발견됐다고 합니다. Unfortunately, he was found dead inside his tent on Monday after he scaled the less tall, but still very, very tall.
Still very big.
Yeah, very, very tall.
Yes.
Mount Annapurna. 자, 그러면은 이제 다음 단락도 한번 가보도록 하겠습니다. 실종된 사람도 있거든요. The next part, please.
Hannah had just descended from Annapurna, the world's 10th highest peak, to the final camp before the summit, his expedition agency said. The other climber, Anurag Malu, was still missing. Hannah's death was the second in a week as the mountaineering season in the Himalayas got off to a deadly start. Last week, 3 Sherpas were believed to have died while climbing Mount Everest.
자, 아까 그 노엘 하나 씨는 세계에서 10번째로 높은 안나푸르나 산 정상에서 하산의 마지막 캠프까지 내려왔다고 전해지는데 또 다른 등반가인 아누락 말루 씨라는 분은 현재까지도 실종 상태라고 합니다. 이번 사고는 등산철이 시작된 지 일주일 만에 일어난 두 번째 사망 사고인데 지난주에는 3명의 셔파가 에버레스트 산을 등반하던 중 사망한 것으로 알려졌습니다. Sherpas are the people who help the
Climbers, yeah, they're
the climbers.
yeah, and even novice climbers, right? Because
Yeah.
so many people try to climb Mount Everest,
Yeah.
or even just the lesser ones. But you have these Sherpas with you; they're usually really strong, and they're Nepalese
Yeah.
Nepalese
Local
people,
people, yeah.
people who are they were raised there, right? So they know the mountains so well.
Yep.
I think they're acclimated to the altitude.
Sure. There must be. Now, the word used here that's the opposite of scaling or going up is descend.
Right. So he just descended from Annapurna. So, at all of these mountains, they have base camps all the way up. So, you climb to one level and then you have to get acclimated to the altitude. So you sleep there and then you go to the next level and then the next level.
Right.
So when you go down, you're descending. When you go up, it's an ascent.
descend는 내려가는 거죠. 그리고 반대말은 ascend가 될 텐데 descend from 어디라고 하면 어디에서 내려가는 겁니다. 그래서 Noel Hannah had just descended from Annapurna. 아나푸르나 산 정상에서 이제 하산을 하던 중에 결국은 이렇게 안타깝게도 사망한 채 발견이 된 것 같고요. And then this other person who is still missing, Anurag Malu, we don't know exactly whereabouts they went missing. Annapurna, by the way, is the 10th highest peak.
Highest peak, which is summit, the highest mountain. The peak is the top.
Sure.
So it's the 10th highest mountain in the world.
정상, peak, P-E-A-K, highest peak. 근데 10th니까요. 세계에서 10번째로 높은 산 정상이라는 뜻이 되겠고요.
And they'll often use the word summit as a verb, but like we're going to try to summit on this day. I've read books about Mount Everest. I read a novel, not a novel. It's a book about this one writer who actually went to Mount Everest. If you ever, there's a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and some other guy called Everest, and it's based on that book by John Krakauer, Into Thin Air. It's I'll lend it to you if you want. It's a great book.
I've heard about it.
You want to? I'll lend it to you.
Yeah. 그래요. 피크라는 게 이제 정상인데 이 정상에 오르다라는 뜻으로 summit라는 동사를 쓰기도 한다라는 거죠. 그다음에 mountaineering season은 등산철입니다.
Yeah. Mountaineering season, I believe for Everest, when I looked it up and there's sort of different dates, but it's basically April and May. Sort of mid-April to the end of May. And that's like, I've heard that before. I think Annapurna, you can actually do that in late March. It depends, like the Nepalese government gives out permits. And so, but that's basically, it's the spring season. I think there's also, from what I read, there's one in the end of the year as well, but this is the main one.
아, 그래요. 지금 보통 봄철인가 보죠. 이 mountaineering season이 등산철이. 자, 그러면 표현 기억하면서 우리 처음부터 다시 들어보겠습니다.
One climber dies and another is missing on Himalayan mountain. A northern Irish alpinist was found dead, and a climber from India went missing on a mountain in central Nepal Tuesday. Noel Hannah, who had scaled Mount Everest 10 times, was found dead inside his tent Monday after scaling the 26,545-foot tall Mount Annapurna, officials said. Hannah had just descended from Annapurna, the world's 10th highest peak, to the final camp before the summit, his expedition agency said. The other climber, Anurag Malu, was still missing. Hannah's death was the second in a week as the mountaineering season in the Himalayas got off to a deadly start. Last week, 3 Sherpas were believed to have died while climbing Mount Everest.
이렇게 해서 오늘 두 번째 월드 뉴스 오버뷰까지 살펴봤고 리뷰 가볼 텐데요. 미국 최대 커뮤니티 사이트 Reddit에 관한 기사입니다.
The scourge of the internet.
Let's have a look.
Reddit wants to get paid for helping to teach big AI systems. About 57 million people visit Reddit every day to chat about a variety of topics. In recent years, Reddit's chats have been a free teaching aid for companies like Google, OpenAI, and Microsoft. Those companies are using Reddit's conversations in the development of artificial intelligence systems